Well, welcome to another episode of the Peak Potential Success Show. My name is Fong. I'm an entrepreneur, business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. And every single day, I help others unlock the potentials and guide them to succeed. Today on the show, we have another fascinating guest on this show. We interview celebrities, entrepreneurs, business CEOs, athletes, and artists to find out their path to success, how they're able to overcome challenges and adversity, and of course, their keys to success. And today's guest is definitely somebody who can shine some light into that conversation because he is so good at what he does. He helps a lot of people overcome challenges, lots of people overcome adversity and struggles. He's one of the best coaches out there for parents who have struggling teens. He's a person who hosts amazing events, high energy events with great life-changing atmosphere where he helps inspire kids, teens, and adults and families to really live life with power, passion, and presence by unlocking their and awakening their confidence and their leadership. He's a person who is also an expert in the martial arts field, industry leader. With his Safe Dojo, he's been inducted into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame. He's also a person who empowers communities with positive change and, of course, helping improve lives where populations are very vulnerable. So, I've almost forgot. He's also an author of the book, The Four Prime Archetypes, Why We Do What We Do. And I'm going to ask him more about that as well. He's the host of the global #1 podcast for parents when it comes to helping parents with their struggling teens, beyond risk and back. So please welcome author, podcast host, coach, Mr. Aaron Huey.
Hey, thanks, Fong. I appreciate being here. Thanks for giving me a chance to talk to your audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. Every time I see you, you have this great smile on your face. You're beaming. You have great energy, and it's always one of those things I'm like, I want to hear what he says next because your attitude, your confidence really shines. So thank you very much for being here.
I appreciate it. I love to talk, and I love the sound of my own voice.
That's not very common for lots of people. Like lots of people. Well, then before I get to my first formal question for you, when did you realize you like your voice? Because for me, I still can't stand listening to my voice. So, because it sounds different, obviously. Lots of people go, that's not my voice. That's not what I sound like.
Sure.
But it took me a while before I go, I guess that's what you guys all hear. And I guess I have to accept it.
I think way back in the early 70s, my mom was learning about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and all the other parents and the teachers at my elementary school were kind of every time they'd bring in an expert to talk about it, they were looking at her. And my mom, I have a great mom. I'm blessed that she's still with me, as is my dad. They were amazing. And what they did when they started discovering my what society is going to say my limitations is they immediately tried to find pockets of society where my limitations were actually superpowers and attributes. The first time I realized that I loved the sound of my own voice was on stage in second grade playing one of the reindeer. I think I maybe had one line, but what I know is that at the end of that little second grade elementary play, I got a standing ovation. I'm sure the parents were very tongue in cheek and laughing about it and stuff like that. But I remember the applause for being my high energy, constant caffeine buzz, exuberant, audacious self. And up on stage, I got applause. Sitting in the classroom, I got scolded. And that really kind of taught me that there is a place for me, and keep looking until you find it. So I do.
So after that, was it talking all the time? You just couldn't
Well,
stop
sure.
taking things
Yeah.
to have your voice go out there.
Absolutely. You're being on stage in community theater, being in debate, being in drama at school, being in the orchestra, being in choir, being on the radio station. Why not? If you find the thing you're good at, then do the thing. Why? Look, being someone who's ADHD and being a parent who has a child who has been diagnosed as well, there is a point where you have to recognize, and this is something that I think my parents recognized, but I sure figured it out. I spent a lot of time in school my whole life with people, having learning disabilities and being neurodivergent, with people saying, oh yeah, it's okay. He's just going to struggle with grades, and he's just going to struggle with math, and he's going to struggle with relationships, and he's going to struggle with drugs, and he's going to struggle. And you know what? I did with relationships, with math, with grades, and with drugs. Being a drug addict for 14 years, having that really impact my life in an extremely negative way, to the point that I impacted my community in an extremely negative way. And then at some point in my early 30s, realizing that every successful CEO that everybody loves to talk about is also neurodivergent and neuroatypical and ADHD. And it's like, okay, which is it? Am I going to struggle, or am I a superhero? Like, someone just tell me. And like you and I were talking about offline, I don't think I can wait for the weather to change. I think I got to change for the weather. And that's where it goes. Because what other option do you have? You listen to the voices of your childhood, or you listen to your adult voice. Either way, learn to like the sound of your voice, because it's the one that's talking loudest to you.
Mhm. Wow, that's awesome. I remember first time I realized what people hear when I say my when I was singing, and we go, "That's not me. That's nothing like me. I don't know what you guys are talking about. That's so not me." And then all of a sudden, like, I guess I'm the only one to hear my voice the way I hear it, and I just have to accept it. And after that, I started doing more performances and started doing podcasting, speaking on stages and stuff like that. So to this day, I still do not watch my own videos because I can't stand my voice. But it's one of those things I'm working around. I watch my videos without the sound, or I only listen to it without the video, just to get over
You
that
know,
hump. Okay, I'll accept it.
you know what? I want everybody to go a step further. If there are people, your listeners, and this is something that I actually teach a process in. If you believe in affirmations and manifestations, and there are so many amazing YouTube videos, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours of someone saying positive thinking concepts to you about money, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial positivity, motivating you to think differently. How much more powerful would it be if that voice you were listening to while you work or while you sleep is your own voice?
Mhm.
And so that's what I do, is I take my favorite music, which is heavy metal music, deep, dark, powerful, aggressive heavy metal music. I take my favorite songs off of YouTube, and I use a YouTube Ripper, and I put them in GarageBand, one right after another, about an hour's worth. And then I will use ChatGPT AI, or I will make up my own, or I will use other people's affirmations and manifestation mantras. And I will say it, and I will record myself saying it, and I will record it into a garage band, and then I will repeat my voice over and over, and I will layer it, and I will move the sound between my left ear and my right ear, and I will double it up, and I will put sound effects, and then I will do another one just about my relationship with my wife and my marriage, and another one about sales and positivity and ethics and training, and then one about money. And I listen to it while I work, and I listen to it at the gym while I move my body. Because if someone's going to convince me of something, it's going to be me. It's always been other people's voices. But if I want to create my life, then it's got to be my voice telling me what I think about mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial choices and decisions I make every day. Do I listen to the experts? Absolutely. And then I teach myself. I say what they say to me, and I do it over and over and over until my words become my thoughts, until my thoughts become my beliefs, until my beliefs become my reality.
That is so powerful. I mean, I've never heard that before. It's something that so like affirmations, everybody's heard that, everybody implements it, but to take that to a next level, having yourself to say those affirmations to you, just gives it that extra oomph of impact because now you're listening to yourself do it instead of somebody
Yeah.
else telling you, right? So that is absolutely incredible. What got you to decide to do that? Because
Uh,
something clicked and you go, you know what? I'll do this. Because the first thing you said, the first thing I thought about when you said, "Hey, I'm going to record all these affirmations," the that Seinfeld episode popped up in my head. where George got a audiobook, and the reason why he got audiobooks is because he hates the sound of his voice. But the audiobook author or the speaker sounded like himself, so he couldn't stand it. So, because like when he reads this book by himself, he hears his own voice. So he got an audiobook, but then the
Yeah,
audiobook sounded like himself and he couldn't take it.
that's
So that's
brilliant.
the first thing that thought I came to my head. For you, what was that moment that you go, you know what? If I did this, I can make it even more powerful because it's my own voice.
Well, who else has a voice that's more powerful than your own?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, you can have Tony Robbins, T. Harv Eker, Bob Proctor, anybody tell you what they think about you. But the last person you have to convince is you.
Mhm.
And you're the last obstacle to all of this. Yeah, I know in childhood or in your past or even a recent past, that dragon may have shown up in your life. And by dragon, I mean something external that you have no control over. That car accident, that assault, the addiction, the abuse, the abandonment, something that showed up that got you starting to say, you don't deserve anything you want. And here's the evidence. At some point, it's your voice that has to change. At some point, it's your mind that has to change. At some point, it's your belief system. I love listening to David Goggins. I love listening to Deepak Chopra. I love listening to The Rock or any of these super successful people tell me what I could do. But the only one who's going to convince me that I can do it and I deserve to do it and I deserve the results is me. That's the first obstacle and the last obstacle. So start there. The A lot of people want to believe that the path to enlightenment or success is some curated path through this beautiful garden covered with roses that other people pruned. It's not. It's through the weeds. It's through that pain you find your path. It's the wound that becomes your way. It's the tears that become the trail. It's the wreckage that builds your resume. And it's the mess that turns you into the messenger. And so you start with the thing you hate most,
Mhm.
the dragon, your past, or the fact that you don't like the sound of your own voice. I was interviewing T. Harv Eker a couple days ago, and I was asking him, how do you tell people, how do you teach people who really don't have the confidence to sell, but they have a really good product? Like they've created a coaching program that's brilliant, or a book that's beautiful, or a company idea that is just, it's magnificent, it's life changing. But as soon as they start to sell, they're their belly starts to quiver and their voice starts to shake and their eyes, they second guess and their breath. And I said, what do you say to them? And he said very simply, too bad. And you know what? He's right, because that's where strength comes from, is through facing that limitation that you created, the discomfort that you feel, the obstacles that you possess. Start there. Are you going to fail? Well, yeah, duh. You're battling a dragon. How many times does the warrior train to finally face the greatest monster of their life?
Mhm.
A lot. And you fall down 7 times, but as long as you get up 8, you're gonna be okay.
Wow, that is absolutely awesome. You talked about at the beginning about the ADHD. You've
Yeah,
also alluded that to a superpower as well, and not many
yeah,
people do that. Not many people go, I'm diagnosed with ADHD. I,
yeah.
I can't do anything now, right? You took that and go, hey, that's my superpower. I'm gonna find the advantages of this, and I'm gonna make it work. What are some of the advantages or perceptions that you've done that go, you know what? This is something I have that is better than what people don't have, and therefore I can make it better.
One of the things about attention deficit disorder and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is that you don't prioritize things. And in school, where the math teacher is telling you that math homework is the most important, and the science teacher is telling you that science is most important, and your friends are telling you that they're most important, and your parents are telling you that they're most important, you don't have the ability in a moment by moment basis to make that determination. So, Fong, while we're talking, I'm not only looking at the camera so that I'm making eye contact with you, I can see your body language. And I know that my wife is on the other side of this wall and she's resting, and that it's raining outside, and I can hear a squirrel running across the roof. And I can hear my mother in law making coffee downstairs. And not one of those things is most important. And it seems like what I'm saying should be or could be. But the truth is that we are gatherers. We walk out into the meadow and we see the entire meadow until such time that we find something that we are really, really interested in. And then we lock everything else out. So I have diffuse awareness. I don't have single focus. I have diffuse awareness. So I can feel the people in the room when I'm talking, and also think about what I'm going to say next, and also recognize that the tag in my collar is bothering me, and that sensitivity, we are told, makes us less than. And I believe it makes us more than. Does it cause me struggle sometime? Oh my gosh, you bet. I have a project that needs to be done today, and I might make it as long as I don't doom scroll or hope scroll at any point today. So that's not going to happen. And so, yeah, I struggle to keep calendars. I struggle to keep appointments. So I keep multiple calendars. I have my day timer right here, and I have a notebook right here, and I have an online calendar. It feels like I can't get a good night of sleep, but I'm used to it. I'm 54 years old. But when I get up, I've taken that morning time. And other people call this a limitation, where it's going to take you 3 hours to go to the gym. But I know that it takes me 3 hours to go to the gym in the morning. So I get up 3 hours. And do I read 7 books of successful people? No, absolutely not. I doom scroll and I sip my coffee until that is no longer entertaining. And then I go to the gym. You change your life to match your way. You have to. And you have to surround yourself with incredibly beautiful, patient, loving people. And it's very frustrating for them. It's very hard on them. Being an ADHD person is very hard on the people you love, including your kids. So you learn to apologize and try to do better. And you don't always succeed at that. But you have found some of the most amazing people in your life. How is that not a superpower? You have amazing, brilliant ideas constantly. Listening to Sean Sia or John Lee or James Skinner, all of whom I've had the pleasure of interviewing and sharing the stage with, listening to them talk about business and AI, and then spending the next 4 hours when I should be working on that project I was telling you about, developing a new app for family who have a member with dementia, and using AI to do it and create the sales script and the pitch deck and the coding for the app itself, and you know, I have a beautiful product sitting there. I don't know if I'm ever going to do anything with it, but I went on an adventure. I jumped down the rabbit hole and I took a shovel with me. And only those who go too far know how far they can go. And that's kind of what my life feels like. But it also allowed for someone who barely made it out of high school and struggled with drug addiction to have a successful marriage, and to have a successful financial profile, and to have a successful life. I love what I do.
That is absolutely incredible. When you were describing it that way, I couldn't help but think about Spidey sense. When you were talking about the squirrel going across, I'm like, what else are you gonna say? You're gonna say that you can feel the trees outside and the butterfly that's on the tree branch, and I was like, wow, that is definitely a car.
If you and I are driving in a car and I'm driving, I'm looking at the texts that are popping up, watching the road, saw that coyote, saw the hawk that was swooping down over the coyote because the coyote had a rodent in its mouth. I saw the police car that passed. I saw the person sitting in the back seat with a blue hat, and they were crying. You
Wow.
saw the truck I almost hit.
I was once on a road trip with somebody. We drove under some power lines, and they go, this is whatever wattage. I'm like, what? You felt?
Right. Yeah, and it's not like anything I actually saw is going to matter in 5 years. I still saw it.
Mhm.
I may not remember it in 5 minutes, but I saw it. And my life is very adventurous. Um, but you see things, you experience things, and if you turn that into a superpower and perfect it, then it benefits.
Mhm.
It benefits the world. Yeah.
I can only imagine that your life is surrounded with a lot of alarms and a lot of notifications. Is that true?
Um, the to get up in the morning, no,
Mm,
because my body. Look, there's a process that my partner and I teach that is a really deep meditative process. Robert Riopel, who you've had on your show, he and I teach a meditative process called Behind the Mask, where you continue to identify who you are repeatedly for days on end, answering a single question. And at some point, you find the answer, and when you do, and as you go through the process, your body shakes away false identities. And to say that, it's like, who are you? Well, I'm Fong and I have a podcast. Well, who's the person who's Fong and has a podcast? And you keep going until there is only one answer left, and it is the truth. When I had first attended a seminar where we did this exercise, the truth I discovered is that I am God's caffeine buzz. Whatever that means to anybody listening,
mm,
to me, it means I'm plugged into divine energy. And that energy wakes me up in the morning. And that energy powers me through the day, and it puts me up on stage. And that energy has me really try to figure out, is this fear or is this excitement? And really, what's the difference? Because it's all just energy. This dollar bill and this credit card is energy. Love is energy. My wife is energy. I'm energy. My sadness is energy. My stress is energy. And I'm energy. And that's all I am. And in the recognition of that, to answer your question, um, this morning, to make absolute sure that I did not, for any reason, shape, or form, miss our interview, yeah, I had 3 notifications, but I was up hours ago,
mm.
and I
Wow.
knew I wasn't going to miss it. But I also know me, and I miss things. So I'm
Mm.
going to set some. So it's both. The answer is yes. And the answer is, don't lock into any one way of being until you find the way that works for you. And the way that works for me is keep as many calendars as you can and expect to miss things anyway.
Something I found interesting with what you said previously was the fact that you have a great product there. It may
Yeah.
or may not see the light of day. And the way you said it didn't seem like you were worried. It didn't seem like you were sad. It didn't seem like you were like, it was just one of those things. It may or may not. And you have this very carefree attitude about it, whereas some people will go, no, once I have that product out there, I'm gonna have to make it work. It's gonna have to work. It's gonna have to be out there at this point in time, deadline, deadline, deadline. But
Yeah.
you seem to be very free flowing, yet you are very, very successful in what you do. So how do you prioritize, which you say you don't really prioritize
You
much,
don't.
but still get
Right.
things done?
Yeah. First of all, there's for people like me, and if you're a person like me, let's recognize in my book, The Four Prime Archetypes, the point is to identify four prime personalities, four different kinds of personalities, and make the experience fun enough that you want to learn about all four so that you learn that you contain all of them and the ability to achieve perfection in any one of them, but you primarily utilize one of them as a survival mechanism. But most likely, you're some kind of amalgamated balance of two of them. And we can discuss the book, but the point is that the recognition of who you are. And why you do what you do leads you to giving up the struggle to be better and embrace yourself as you are. So, and it's funny because I'm going to have to ask you to repeat the question in a second. But your question prompted a point to make. I have an older model Mercedes Sprinter camper van that my wife and I spend a lot of time in. And every time you open up the door and someone sees it, they go, "Did you build that?" And I wish I had, but I'm not that kind of man. Now I remember the question. I wish I knew how to fix cars, but I'm actually the one who put DEF fluid in the gas tank. And for anybody who understands cars, knows what that means and what I did to my engine, because I'm not the type of person who reads directions. But I am the type of person who is constantly plagued by the shiny object because that's my life. There is not one shiny object. It's all shiny objects. You need to pick and choose what you do. I've heard that since I was a child, but I want to do everything. And so I will indulge the shiny object to a point because I know I'm not going to follow through on every shiny object. There are shiny objects out there that I really, really want. It took me 25 years to write that book. And it finally took me involving someone else in the project, a woman that I know, I like, and I trust. And it was her that brought it to the finish line, because I can get a million projects to the starting line, but I'm a starter. And so I'm going to start. Will that beautiful app see the light of day? Boy, I hope so, but I'm not the one who's going to make that happen. That's not me. But I'm the one who's now got the pitch deck, the sales script, the algorithms, the coding, and everything started. Someone else come join me and finish it. And let's do it together. I'm not a solopreneur. I've never been a good one. I'm not the best at picking business partners. I believe in my heart of hearts that my work with Robert Raymond Riopel is destined for something bigger than what we currently have and what I've imagined. But it's because I like the guy. The guy you meet on stage is the guy you hang out with in his backyard having a barbecue, eating some brats, talking about how you probably shouldn't be eating fatty pork, right? And that's why I like being with that guy. But yeah, the shiny thing shows up constantly. So here's what I do to help me when I need to focus. Right next to me, and I'm gesturing over here because it's right here, I have my iPad and it's hanging at eye level. Right here, I have my phone on a little stand. I have headphones in. So I will work on my computer. I will listen to a motivational video, and I will play heavy metal music, sometimes with my voice over it, because I'm distracted anyway. I might as well indulge the distraction so that I can focus.
Wow. That is impressive. I mean, you just said you're doing 3, 4 things at one time so that you're not distracted, so that you can stay focused, which is
because I'm going to do 3 or 4 things at one time anyway. I should at least be in charge of them, right?
And I like the fact that you use heavy metal to relax as well. I don't think many people can say that, but it goes to show that everybody's relaxation method and style is completely different. And I must say, you're the first person I've met that says heavy metal relaxes me. I can go to sleep with it.
Heavy metal flamenco dancing scream therapy relaxes me because that's what it sounds like in my head. And when I finally find an external environment that matches what's going on inside, that's my harmony point. You know, being a part of martial arts as long as I have, the concept of balance and harmony is often misrepresented. In Eastern philosophy, we are constantly searching for balance, you know, finding that equilibrium of opposing energies and being in the center of this circle, right? Because the circle actually starts in the center. Then there's a line, then there's the circle. The circumpunct, the sign of gold, the sign of the sun, the sign of God, whatever that means to anybody, right? See, here's one of those things. Now I'm trying to remember what I started with, because now I'm talking about gold. The point of balance is this. In Western philosophy, in Western occultism, the Druids, the Vikings, there was a concept that growth came through imbalance. Because when the teeter totter tips, you have to flex your muscles to stay upright. And that's a life philosophy too, because life is very rarely balanced for you. That's why you have to take the center fulcrum to find yourself. Breathing, steadiness, focus, focus on nothingness when you're able, focus on your breath when you get distracted. But what about the chaos? What about the constant noise and imbalance? When we were dealing with the pandemic, and here in the United States, we really are dealing with political discord and upheaval. And no one wants to actually talk about things anymore. They want to yell at each other about how everybody's wrong. But see, nobody thinks they're wrong. Everybody thinks they're the good guy. Nobody thinks they're the bad guy. So, how do you find harmony in that? What if that is the path to enlightenment? Is the discontent? What if the destructive nature is the path? What if the noise is the path? Why do we think it has to be quiet? Some people need that. I don't have access to that because my mind isn't quiet. Yoga is quiet. And I struggle with yoga. Tai Chi is quieter than martial arts. And as I get older, I'm finding it easier. But a lot of things get easier. Well, maybe not easier, but they get better as you get older. Mm-hmm. But when it's chaos, when I'm standing up on stage and I have 600 students in front of me pounding on kickbags and shouting the names of the people that they would love so much that they would die for and kill for and live for and fight for, and they're sobbing and people are sweating and their knuckles are bloody, and the person holding the kickbag is screaming at them, trying to make them quit. You suck. You're a quitter. You're overweight, and saying the same shit to their partner that the partner is saying to themselves in their own head anyway. So bring the voice of chaos out and face it. That's when I feel at home, is when everybody is confronting the dragon. Some people are built for the battle, and some people are built for that neuromodulator that's released after the battle. But both must go through the battle. Where you find your peace, man, find it wherever you need to, but stop telling people who find peace elsewhere that that's not peace. People see my passion and my energy and often say, "Why are you so angry?" And the only time I get angry is when people misjudge my passion and energy as anger. That's their problem, not mine. My passion and my energy is my home base. And that's where I'm going to live. And you don't have to like it. Your feelings cannot be my responsibility. Our relationship will be built on a 50-50. You bring your 50, I bring my 50. That's going to make our 100.
Mm-hmm. That is very, very powerful stuff. And I'm sure your 50 is usually a lot more than 50. The first thing I'm thinking about is, well, you know how you go to different hotels at different cities, and you go, this is a 5-star hotel, this is a 5-star hotel. But when you go to a 5-star hotel in Vegas, that 5-star hotel is so much better than this 5-star hotel at this other city. And I think your 50 is going to be so much higher than somebody else's 50. So I'm sure you give it all you've got. When it comes to the, like, you've talked about the martial arts, you've talked about the drugs, you talked about all that stuff, yet you've been able to overcome so much to achieve so much. What's that gap? How did you fill that gap, or how did you get over that hump first to pursue all this other stuff? Like, what was going in your head? Did you go seek help? Did you talk to people? Did you go, no, I'm going to do this myself? What was that first step for you to go, I need to turn things around?
I think the first step, when I was getting sober and I was going to Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous, and I was going through the 12-step rooms, um, I had an opportunity to meet Dr. Patch Adams. My dad had done some amazing things with a hospital that he was the CEO at. And Patch Adams was brought in as a speaker. And if you know the movie Patch Adams with Robin Williams, you're already seeing a beautiful representation of a real man who has what Dr. Patch Adams, the real Dr. Patch Adams, has accomplished in life and accomplished with healthcare. Is that movie is but a shadow of this man's brilliance and light. And the movie itself was inspiring and brilliant because of the story and because of Robin Williams. I watched Dr. Patch Adams speak, and I was so moved by the exercise that he gave us and the sheer will to do things differently, to be himself at all costs, despite the healthcare industry and the traditions and the norm and the towing the line, and just watching this man was such a moving experience. Afterwards, I just wanted to get his autograph, of course, and everybody lined up to get his autograph. But I wanted to give him something of mine. And it just so happens that in the car, I had a manual for a children's camp that I was helping run. I had the manual. And I just wanted to give him something of me because he had given so much of himself. And I waited in line and waited in line. And I was just like, how will I stand out? All these people are saying, thank you. And I didn't know. And so I just, okay, I guess I'll just meet him. And I was next. The woman left, and he looked at me, and I jumped in his lap and I grabbed him by the face and I kissed him on the lips because I was just so moved. And he was the second man I had ever kissed on the lips. The first always being my dad, who raised me, because I loved him. He loved me, and he was affectionate. And I kissed Dr. Patch Adams on the lips, and he kissed me right back with no hesitation. And it was pure love and acceptance. He called me the next day and asked me to come teach at the Gesundheit Clinic when he finally had it built. But that wasn't the point. The point was that afterwards, I went up and I told my mom what I did. And she just looked at me and she goes, "You are so audacious." And that word became my word because that's all I have. I'm not a smart man. I'm not a handsome man. I'm not a, I'm, maybe I'm not a man, Fong. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is, the point is, I've had one thing that's guided me to success mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and that's the audacity to what? To conceive of something, to believe in something, to achieve something, and to receive something. Conceive, believe, achieve, receive. That's it. And if life isn't working the way you want it to, it's one of those four things. Can you actually conceive of what you want? Do you believe that you deserve it? Will you get out there and achieve it? And when it shows up, because it will you receive it? And anytime I struggle, it's one of those, not conceiving of the truth or what is, but all I have at the end of it, if you boil it all away, the clever words, the whatever talent I have as a martial artist or a writer, whatever gift I bring to children and families who are really, really struggling, or business people who are stuck somewhere, whatever presentation skills I have on stage or in commercials and movies or whatever, is just the audacity to do it anyway, to try, to be audacious. That's it. That's the one thing I've embraced. And it's gotten me success after success after success. It's gotten me a marriage I adore, children who they are the light, now a grandchild, and work that I love to do. I'm just audacious enough to believe, conceive, achieve, and receive, because somewhere in this tiny little brain in my head, I deserve it. I think that. I think I deserve this. I don't know why. I don't know how, but gimme. I'm going to go get it. Get some.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, I think you have another superpower. It's giving people goosebumps. I don't know what you can call that superpower, but I'm feeling this energy with me right now.
I am Goosebump Man.
Um, Something else that you've excelled at is your podcast. Can you share with us how that came about and more about why people need to listen to that?
Okay, so the podcast, and I have stopped doing new shows. I have 300 episodes out there. And the reason why I've stopped doing new shows is because I have discovered that people aren't listening week by week, because that's not the way my podcast was designed. My podcast is not an errand rant. My podcast is a very specific market, parents of teenagers who are really struggling beyond risk, right? Kids who are using fentanyl, kids who are suicidal, kids who are currently in treatment, kids who have stolen the car, kids who are cutting themselves, addiction, abuse, abandonment, assault, the real honest to goodness struggle. And I spent 300 episodes speaking to mental health experts, addiction experts, and people in recovery, who a lot of them are also now industry leading experts. And I just asked them questions that parents have asked me. My wife and I ran an addiction and mental health treatment center for teenagers for 15 years. So we know what it's like to be a family and struggle with a really desperate life and limb situation. I was a drug addict. Um, this show is designed for parents who are going, oh my God, what do I do? And because I have the experts on there, people listen. So I'm not the reason that show is the success it is. The experts I found and the questions I asked and their wisdom not only teaches parents every single day, but it taught me everything I know about mental health. So it's a study. It's more that's why it became successful globally, is because it's a study. So yeah.
Cool. Very, very cool stuff. Um, we put you on the world stage, and I'm sure you're gonna be on world stage many, many times. And you were asked to share one message for everybody who remember Aaron for. What would that message be?
There are four prime archetypes. There are four aspects to your personality, and one of those aspects you have embraced because it helped you survive. It brings you the closest to success, the success you want. It's your warrior side, it's your wizard side, it's your jester side, or it's your bard side. There's more to you than that. And your uniqueness is this incredible mixture of those four prime personalities. There are four prime archetypes that we embrace, and it's why we do what we do. Uh, be yourself. It's not about being better. It's about giving up the struggle to be different from who you truly are.
Nicely done. Great words to live by. This time has gone by so fast. I'm filled with goosebumps, and I just can't wait for other people to really get engaged with you and get to know you more and all that kind of stuff because I've really, really enjoyed this time with you. But before I let you go, got five quick rapid fire questions for you. I'm going to feed that ADHD for a bit.
Let's
So,
go.
first question, stranded on a deserted island, one food to eat for the rest of your life, no consequence.
Coconut.
Hollywood calls and goes, man, Aaron, your life is amazing. We would love to do a biopic on you. Who would you play? Who would you cast to play you?
Oh man. I'm gonna go ahead and say uh geez, I would love it if Brad Pitt, because I've been jealous of everything he's ever done.
Brad Pitt shows up at your door. Hey, buddy, Aaron, I got casted to play you. Let's hang out. Let's have some fun. Let's get to know each other. And you go, hey, Brad, buddy, no problem. I got the whole night planned out for us. Let's go. So, what does that night look like?
Throwing axes.
And that's it.
Oh yeah, that's it.
uh,
So and the reason why is because that's what I do with every client
uh,
is we throw axes, because there is nothing you can't learn about watching someone throw an axe. I've been throwing axes for 25 years. There's nothing you can't learn by watching someone throw an axe.
that is absolutely awesome. Brad Pitt gets a little famished, is a little hungry, and he goes, "Hey, Brad, buddy, no problem. I'm gonna whip you my specialty. What's that special dish that you goes up?"
Ice cubes. I'm a terrible cook. Right?
Here, lick on this.
Yeah, breakfast burritos. Yeah, I can make a decent breakfast burrito.
With a side of ice cubes. You're on a long road trip, and for one reason or another, there's only one song that's playing over and over and over. What's that song?
The demon's name is Surveillance by Meshuggah.
I can't say I know that song. Would you care to give me a snippet?
It'll blow your ears apart. You want me to share screen? I mean,
No, that's
you're
okay. I was just trying to see if you're willing to sing. And my last question,
that song is not really a singing song, and I think you should go to YouTube and type in "the demon's name is Surveillance." You'll understand what I mean.
okay, I'll rephrase that. I wanted to see if you're willing to vocalize,
Ah,
but that's okay.
yeah,
Pick a number from 1 to 4.
four.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the word is chalkboard. So if you had to use chalkboard as a metaphor for success, what would that be? How is success like a chalkboard?
Mm. Grandmaster Hatsumi, who I had the pleasure of meeting and learning from in Ninpo Taijutsu. He was watching a karate student at a big demonstration break bricks, grab another brick, break it, grab another brick, break it, grab another brick, break it. Now, Hatsumi is the grandmaster of ninjutsu, Ninpo Taijutsu, the ninjas, 34th in Tokakuri ninjutsu. And he kept laughing at this guy breaking all these bricks. And the guy was infuriated. But Hatsumi is one of the greatest martial artists out there. Afterwards, he walks up, after he bows, he walks up to Hatsumi at the event and says, "Why were you laughing at me?" And Hatsumi says, "Because you doubled the amount of weapons that I have access to. So when your chalk breaks, use both hands."
Nicely done. So that's how success is like a chalkboard. Any final words from you? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? All that great stuff.
If you're a parent, please go to Parenting Teens That Struggle. That is my cul-de-sac site where everything you need that I can support you with is right there. How to get in contact with me, my book, the 4 prime archetypes, my book on video game dependency and addiction. And it's not the video game's fault. We're going to say that right up front. Free gifts to help, and of course the ability to engage me as a coach. What I would love is that if anybody would like to follow up and grow their business and grow their time, check out Success Resources Virtual, because I am, along with Robert Raymond Riopel, the host of that. It is free. There are 14 free business seminars for the rest of the year. And we have the industry leading guests appearing in them: Harv Eker, Ken Honda, Robert Kiyosaki, Robert G. Allen, James Skinner. Look, it is the top. Come find us at Success Resources Virtual and come join us on those free events, because your life will change rapidly.
Awesome stuff. And final words?
Well, I always have final words. So I'll just say, yep, I got final words. And that was them.
Awesome. So everybody make sure you connect with Aaron. I'm sure that if you need a boost of energy, 5 seconds with Aaron here, 3 seconds with Aaron, you're gonna get goosebumps and you're gonna be so like motivated to go out there and make a world a better place and make yourself a better person as well. So thank you very much, Aaron. This has been an amazing time for me. I've learned a lot, great stories, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience, Fong. Appreciate you.
Awesome. He's Aaron. My name is Fong. Until next time, today is the day to lock your peak potential. We'll see you later.